Top stories this evening. President inaugurates 5 new naval patrol vessels procured as part of the efforts to strengthen the country's maritime security capabilities. Turkish warplanes strike IS targets in Syria, destroying 40 of them, including shelters, buildings and vehicles.
Good evening and welcome to Nightly News on Television Maldives with me, Fatma Sara. President Abdulrahman Abdul Gayoom commissions 5 new naval vessels procured as part of the efforts to strengthen the country's maritime security capabilities. The vessels were commissioned at a ceremony held at Izzuddin Jetty this afternoon. It was attended by senior government and military officials. The vessels were procured under a 129 million rupiah contract signed in February 2016 between the government and Solar Marine Lanka Private Limited. President Abdulrahman Abdul Gayoom appoints Mohammad Ibrahim Manik as Minister of State at the Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure. The President also appointed Ahmad Rashid as Senior Policy Executive at the National Disaster Management Center. Ahmad Rashid was previously served as its Executive Coordinator. Minister of Health Abdul Nazim Ibrahim says the government plans to provide scholarship opportunities for doctors wishing to pursue specialty training. The minister said the scholarship will be financed by the government using foreign aid funds, but he did not specify the number of scholarships to be awarded under the plan. He said that the current administration accords high priority to train doctors and health specialists, highlighting that 40 individuals have completed medical studies and other trainings over the past 3 years through government-funded scholarships. In 2016, the government, with assistance from the Nepali Medical University, provided 9 scholarships for medical students. 193 Maldivian doctors are currently working at Indira Gandhi Memorial Hospital IGMH, the biggest hospital in the country, of which 74 doctors are specialists. Defence Minister Adam Sharif says flats being developed in Hulumale to provide housing for family members of Maldives National Defence Force MNDF personnel will be completed by MNDF's anniversary next year. He said this after a visit to the site of Sif Gohia flats today. During the visit, the minister met with representatives of the contractor Island Experts Private Limited and inquired about the progress of the project. Speaking to PSM News, Minister Sharif said that he is content with the speed of the project and the units are expected to be handed over to recipients by April next year. The project, which commenced in 2013, remained suspended until recently. The project recommenced under the direct supervision of the President, will see development of 330 flats in Hulumale for the families of army personnel. Recipients of 300 out of 330 flats have already been selected. 3 apartment complexes with 110 units in each will be developed under the project. Maldives National Defence Force MNDF provides assistance to a Sri Lankan fishing vessel in distress near Makunudu Island of Hadal Atoll. MNDF said that the vessel with 4 people on board were located by a Coast Guard patrol boat around 153 nautical miles off Makunudu. According to MNDF, 3 of them are found to be in good health while 1 needed medical assistance. The vessel is now being towed to Kurdufushi Island. MNDF began searching for the vessel on the request of the Sri Lankan authorities on a Monday. Last week, MNDF also provided assistance to a Sri Lankan fishing vessel. 2 people on board remain under the care of MNDF. Education Minister Dr. Aishat Shiham meets with Maldivian cadets who are selected to participate in India's National Cadet Corps Republic Day Camp. The NCC's Republic Day camp is held to mark India's Republic Day. It will be held from January 15th to 30th in New Delhi, India. Meeting the cadets, Minister Shiham noted that students who participate in extracurricular activities tend to be more disciplined and prepared for life after school. She urged Maldivian cadets to set a good example for others by maintaining proper discipline at all times. 4 students and 2 cadet co-officers are participating in this year's camp. The participants of the camp will meet with the Indian President, Prime Minister, Defence Minister, NCC's Director General and officers at the India Military Academy. A Maldivian team leaves for India to participate in the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union ABU International Dance Festival. The 6-member team will represent the country at the festival through Public Service Media PSM. The first ABU International Dance Festival, which is hosted by India's public service broadcaster Prasar Bharati, is scheduled to be held on January 15, 2017 in Hyderabad, India. The independent festival aims at introducing the unique diversities of Asia-Pacific region, breaking cultural barriers and sharing the joys that varied communities across the region feel while they dance. Teams from India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Maldives, Philippines and Uzbekistan are participating in the festival. South Korea's finance minister says that export-led economy likely grew by 2.7% in 2016, slightly above the latest government estimate, and felt little impact from the impeachment of its president.
South Korea's export-led economy likely grew by 2.7% in 2016, slightly above the latest government estimate, and felt little impact from the impeachment of its president, the nation's finance minister told Reuters in an interview. A bigger risk to the economy, Finance Minister Yoo Il-ho said, was the uncertainty from abroad, including the incoming administration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Yoo, on a visit to New York and Boston to meet with investors and bankers to gauge their views on South Korea, but also to gain insight into the U.S. political landscape, said the previously unreported gross domestic product revision could indicate solid growth for the first quarter of the new year. However, he cautioned that it was too soon to decide if South Korea's habit since 2000 of implementing a supplementary budget to bolster a weak economy was necessary. On December 28th, the government slashed the 2017 economic growth estimate for Asia's 4th largest economy down to 2.6% for 2017 from an early estimate of 3%. Yoo first spoke through a translator and then answered questions directly in English. He said the corporate restructurings of the so-called oversupplied industries of shipping, shipbuilding, steel, construction and petrochemicals were ongoing. South Korea's government has been in turmoil since the impeachment of President Park Geun-hye in a continent-influenced peddling scandal. A constitutional court must decide soon whether to uphold the December 9th decision by lawmakers. While consumer confidence has plunged to a 7.5-year low in the wake of the vote, Yoo believes the nation is taking the vote in stride. Yoo met with dozens of investors, including Goldman Sachs Group Inc. GSN, Chief Executive Lloyd Blankfein and Stephen Schwarzman, the head of investment firm Blackstone Group BXN, who also chairs Trump's Business Advisory Council. He said he wanted to get a read on how the new administration's political maneuvers, trade policies and tax cuts might impact South Korea. Yoo said he did not expect any big changes in the free trade agreements between South Korea and the United States. Trump has said he wants to renegotiate U.S. trade deals and advocating an America First stance.
Looking at news from international arena, Turkish warplanes struck IS targets in Syria, destroying 40 of them, including shelters, buildings and vehicles. In recent weeks, Turkish forces have been besieging the town of Al-Bab, north of Aleppo, some 18 miles south of the Turkish border. Turkish military released footage showing targets being bombed over the area. In a roundup of its military operations over the last 24 hours in support of rebels in northern Syria, the army said airstrikes by Turkish fighter jets on 40 IS targets destroyed shelters, command centers, weapons and vehicles. The Turkish military operation dubbed Euphrates Shield was launched more than 4 months ago to drive IS militants away from the border region. British Member of Parliament Andrew Mitchell tours the northern Yemeni city of Sada, describing debilitating conditions and mass destruction of civilian infrastructure from the near 2-year civil war that has crippled the economy and plunged millions into poverty.
Speaking to reporters after a brief visit to a local hospital in Yemen, British Prime Minister Andrew Mitchell described the Saudi-led coalition fighting to oust the Shi'i Houthis from their stronghold across the country as counterproductive.
I'm standing here in the centre of the city of Sada, and I can see the destruction all around me. I've seen the governor's house, the governor's offices, the place from where all the civic authorities operate in Sada, or used to, the audit and accounting capacity, the ambulance and the fire service. And looking around this total destruction and devastation that has been wrought on the people of Sada, it's very difficult to understand or see how that in any way advances the aims of the coalition and the aims of Saudi Arabia. It seems to me to be completely counterproductive to everything they are trying to achieve.
Mitchell spoke just a few hours ahead of a press conference in the capital Sana'a, where the newly appointed UNICEF representative described the humanitarian conditions across the country and called on all sides to cease attacks on civilian infrastructure.
The figures in terms of malnutrition are really shocking. At least 1.7 million have now moderate malnutrition, and 462,000 are severely acute malnourished. And more than 7 million children need health care, more than 14 million need access to safe water and sanitation.
In December, the United States announced it would limit military support to Saudi Arabia's campaign in Yemen because of concerns over widespread civilian casualties and will halt a planned arms sale to the kingdom, U.S. official told Reuters. The war has so far killed more than 10,000 people and killed or injured more than 1,000 children, according to the United Nations. The near blockade on air, sea and land access has caused food shortages in a country that imports over 90% of its staple food, driving up prices and making it impossible for many Yemenis to feed themselves and their families.
Some militants start to evacuate from Wadi Barada as the Syrian government is trying to reach further agreements to let more people leave. Some militants on Wednesday started to evacuate from Wadi Barada, an area near the Syrian capital of Damascus that supplies it with water, as the Syrian government is trying to reach further agreements to let more people leave. According to the Syrian news agency, about 500 people from 12 villages in Wadi Barada have joined the government-proposed reconciliation plan during the last 24 hours, among whom about 60 are armed personnel. At the junction of a road that links Wadi Barada to the outside world, the government has set up a checkpoint to carry out security inspections on the militants' exit in the sea, while civilians are allowed to leave as soon as they are registered. Some of the civilians said that they have been planning all the time to leave the town ever since the fighting started a month ago. However, they were trapped there by the continuous battles between the two sides. Since last December, water supply facilities in Wadi Barada have been damaged by constant fighting, which has caused a severe water shortage for over 5 million residents in Damascus. The Syrian government is exerting efforts to reach agreements with the militants controlling the area and is planning to send technicians to repair the facilities afterwards. Members of Turkey's ruling AK party and Republican People's Party exchanged kicks and punches at Parliament's General Assembly during a debate on constitutional changes that would expand President Tayyip Erdogan's powers.
Scuffles between Turkish lawmakers from the ruling AK party and main opposition's Republican People Party (CHP) broke out on Wednesday during a debate at General Assembly on constitutional changes that would hand President Tayyip Erdogan sweeping new powers as an executive president. Bros erupted as the lawmakers from AK party tried to prevent CHP MP Fatma Kaplan from filming the voting sessions with her mobile. Lawmakers from two parties traded kicks and punches as acting Parliament Speaker adjourned the session. MPs cast their vote for individual articles in an open voting session to ratify the 18-article bill. CHP urged the constitutional changes should be voted in a secret voting session according to the constitution. Under the reform, President Erdogan will be able to appoint and dismiss government ministers, take back the leadership of the ruling party, and govern until 2029. Erdogan and his supporters argue that Turkey needs the strong leadership of an executive presidency to prevent a return to the fragile coalition government of the past, but opponents fear the reform will fuel authoritarianism. The bill needs the support of at least 330 deputies in the 550-seat assembly to go to a referendum expected in the spring. The AKP has 316 deputies eligible to vote and the MHP 39.
Farmers in South Thailand are suffering great losses as the continuous floods inundate their farmlands. As one of the largest rubber-producing countries, Thailand's rubber plantations are concentrated in its southern areas. According to the Thai Department of Agriculture, more than 1,600 square kilometers of rubber plantations in southern areas have been flooded, causing losses worth $11 million. The country is also one of the largest palm oil producers. In Nakhon Si Thammarat, the burst-hit area, almost every household plant palm trees have suffered various degrees of damage from the flooding. Local residents have moved their livestock to higher ground after their houses were flooded. They said if the flooding continues, not only will their daily necessities dwindle, but they will also run short on fodder for the livestock. The country's livestock department said about 550,000 livestock have been transferred from flood-stricken areas, and it will distribute 300,000 kilograms of fodders to flood victims. Chinese Vice Foreign Minister says it was normal for China's Soviet-built Liaoning aircraft carrier to sail through the Taiwan Strait during training. Taiwan's Defense Ministry said the aircraft carrier returning from exercises in South China Sea was not encroaching in Taiwan's territorial waters but entered its air defense identification zone in the southwest. As a result, Taiwan scrambled jets and navy ships to surveil and control the passage of the Chinese ship north through the body of water separating Taiwan and China. Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Liu Zhanmin said it was normal for China's ships to enter the strait as it is an international waterway. Residents across northern India battle icy winds as the ongoing cold wave tightened its grip over the region.
Residents across northern India battled icy winds as the ongoing cold wave tightened its grip over the region. Temperatures in northern parts of the Indian subcontinent skirting the Himalayan foothills dipped drastically during the months of December and January, mostly on seasonal western disturbances. With a minimum temperature of 3.4 degrees Celsius, residents in national capital New Delhi were seen huddling around bonfires in a bid to warm themselves. The freeze is especially harsh for the poor, many of whom are forced to sleep outside braving the cold. Train services in New Delhi continue to remain disrupted, with 26 of them delayed and 8 rescheduled due to fog or other operational reasons. Meanwhile, cold wave conditions intensified in whole Dhwani cities of India's northern Uttarakhand province. Locals were seen gathering wood to light bonfires as the city reeled under teeth-shattering cold. Similar scenes played out in Muradabad city of northern Uttar Pradesh province, where people wrapped themselves in multiple layers of clothing to shield against the inclement weather. Tea stalls did brisk business as people queued up to get a hot cup of tea to escape the biting cold. Large swaths of northern and central India have seen a sudden dip in temperatures, a direct impact of snowfall in higher reaches of Himalayas. South Asia's winters are not as cold as other regions, such as North America, but the millions of poor here are hit harder because they live in the open and do not have enough warm clothes and often die.
Gabon makes its final preparations ahead of the start of the African Cup of Nations tournament. With the joy doubled as locals voiced their excitement at FIFA's decision to expand World Cup in 2026. The biennial tournament is made up of 16 teams at 4 venues across 4 host cities in the oil-rich Central African country. The possibility of more protests around the tournament, which will bring an international spotlight the country rarely enjoys, means the likelihood of stifling security as a backdrop to what is supposed to be a celebration of African soccer. This year's tournament has been overshadowed by aftermath of Gabon's disputed election held last August that saw President Ali Bongo retain power amid allegations of widespread fraud. The vote divided the political class and the country, leading to a wave of riots. Despite the government's reassurances that the tournament will take place without incidents, there have been ongoing calls in recent months for strike action by the opposition. Although faced with a lingering political and social crisis, an Organization Committee Vice President Snella N.J. Pambo assures that security is up to standards. And on a lighter note, U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama appears on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon one last time as U.S. First Lady, where she refers to President Barack Obama as my very own silver fox. It was a bittersweet moment for Michelle Obama and Jimmy Fallon on what would be her last appearance as First Lady on The Tonight Show in New York City. In a clip provided to Reuters by NBC, Fallon and Obama reminisced about their first time seeing each other at the White House, which involved Fallon wearing a headband and spandex in a potato sack race. In a sketch where she penned a letter to her husband and outgoing U.S. President Barack Obama, the First Lady wrote, "Thank you, Barack, for proving you are not a lame duck, but my very own silver fox."
I just want to personally say thank you for being our only first family that we've had since we started late night. We've been doing bits and sketches together. I don't even know.
We've done some really crazy stuff,
right? We had a potato sack race in the White House.
That was the first thing. That was your introduction. That's how he showed up at the White House. First time, the headband
spandex.
Spandex. I was like,
I tell you, wearing spandex and a headband, yeah, and you go, okay.
Thank you, Barack, for proving you're not a lame duck, but my very own silver fox.
Entertainment outlets reported that it will be Michelle Obama's last appearance on a talk show as the First Lady. Well, that's it for tonight. Stay tuned for more updates of recent current affairs stories here on Television Motors. Thank you for joining us and wish you a pleasant evening. Good night.